Right everyone, Celtic did the business last night, 3-0 against Dundee United to book our spot in the last four of the Scottish Cup, where we will face Rangers in what could be one of three derby matches in April. We're going to chat about all of that stuff, bring your comments in on last night's game as well as chatting about Matt O'Reilly, Ben Doak, the Sydney Super Cup, apologies in advance, Steve Clarke being Steve Clarke, and much, much more. But before all that, we're going to chat a little bit about what happened last night. I was on the reaction with Asim and John. Both of those guys pretty upbeat, pretty pleased with what they've watched. In general, I was as well. I was happy Celtic had got the business done so routinely in what I was expecting to be a much tougher match. I think that's a great credit to the team. Just calling it the way I saw it last night, I didn't think Celtic were particularly good. I thought our passing was really poor. And if we'd have taken far more care, then we would have scored far more goals. I think that's something Matt O'Reilly spoke about after the game. But we got the business done, and hopefully now we can just kick on and look forward to Ross County. Now we're going to bring in a few of your comments, just a select few, because there's so much to get through on today's video. Starting with Tommy McQuillan, who's saying, I thought we controlled the game from start to finish, and I don't remember United having a shot on target in the 90 minutes. We were a bit wasteful in the final third, but the pitch didn't help there. Beaton was an issue for me again, as Maida's goal should have stood by the letter of the law. Kalmak had a really good game and ran the show for me. Giakoumakis, 9 goals, 9 one-touch finishes. What more can you say? I've been banging on about this one-touch finish thing Giakoumakis has going on. Tommy's totally right. 9 goals now. All of them have been one-touch finishes. It's something that I was actually aware of really early in his time at the club. I'm not trying to say I'm a trendsetter or anything like that, but I did actually ask him about it when he was doing a press conference around about a month ago. I think he'd scored 4 goals at this stage.
Hi, Gorgios. I think I'm right in saying the 4 goals you've scored have all been one-touch finishes. Is that something that you feel really natural doing as opposed to taking touches?
Yeah, it's something really natural. It's one of my abilities. I love to score with one touch, and it's something that I always use in the training also, and I need to improve even more because I will have my chances in this team. So I need to be focused. I need to be sharp because this situation will come in every game.
So Giakoumakis up to 9 goals now, all of them one-touch finishes. I was trying to actually work out how rare that is, and I went back to the start of Celtic's season with the intention of going through every single one of our 108 goals that we've scored so far this season and working out how many of them were one-touch finishes. Well, I got as far as the 6-0 against St Mirren before I realised that this was not going to be a worthwhile exercise, and the video would probably be coming to you like tomorrow morning by the time I got through all of that. But it did seem like the majority of Celtic's goals were one-touch finishes. I think probably about 60-65% in the early part of the season, which is maybe not hugely surprising. But it still is pretty cool that all of Giakoumakis' 9 goals so far have been one-touch finishes. And let's see if he can make it to 10 next week. I know Kyogo, his early goals, a lot of them were one-touch finishes, but it does seem quite a rare thing. Moving on, Barry Denton, great win considering we were without our 4 top goal contributors in Kyogo, Jota, Abada and Turnbull. We have been crying out for a scrappy goal scorer for the last number of years, and we now have that in Gigi. Thought Juranovic was top class tonight, one of the best on the park. Now, as I say, Celtic have scored 108 goals across all competitions so far this season. 106 of them have been scored by Celtic players, 2 of them own goals. Here are the players to have netted 4 or more for us this season. Now I'm getting this via transfermarkt.co.uk. Barry is right that prior to kick-off last night we were missing our top 4 scorers this season. Just look at Giakoumakis' minutes per goal record. They are pretty identical to Kyogo at the top. I think looking further down the list, Tom Rogic and Callum McGregor are definitely players who can add more goals to their games, especially Rogic. 1 goal every 484 minutes isn't great. But we do have goals spread around the team, which is really promising. The only two outfielders to have started 10 or more games and not yet scored for Celtic this season are Greg Taylor and Carol Starfelt. So get a move on, lads. Now on to our next comment, 1967. Embarrassing chat from podcasters yet again. Treble's dominance. Wow. Wind your necks in until the season is over. Wow, what a barrel of laughs you are, 1967. And I wouldn't really say I'm a podcaster either. I'd say I'm a YouTuber. The clue is you can see me right now. In all honesty, I don't see the harm in discussing things like this and dreaming about what, the season could look like for Celtic in a few months. It would be a boring world if we could only talk about trebles after they'd happened if you got your way. But thanks for getting in touch anyway. Moving on, and we're going to Jerry. Hopefully Kyogo will be back for the games in April, as I think we might need him. The midfield is missing a bit of pace, and Hatate needs to take a rest and push McGregor one up, especially if we want to win the league. Really looking forward to seeing Abada, Kyogo and Jota ripping it up in the last 6 games or so. The prospect of Turnbull, Kyogo, Abada and Jota all coming back into this side over the next 6 weeks or so is a very enticing one indeed, and it's going to be massive for us, I think, to just keep things fresh and give us more options as we go to the real end of the season and the key moments. Very exciting, I would suggest. Now, on to the semi-final, and another thing that's very exciting is the prospect of Celtic facing Rangers at Hampden. Now, the date and time of the match is still to be confirmed, but it is very likely to be on Sunday the 17th of April with an early kick-off. If Rangers see off Crvena Zvezda this Thursday, then it will be confirmed for the Sunday with the Edinburgh derby up first the day before. So what does Celtic's April look like? Well, we don't know the post-split fixtures yet, but this is what we're staring at in terms of the next month and a half. Celtic only have one more game in March on Saturday at home to Ross County. After that, we'll get a 2-week break before taking on Rangers at Ibrox on April the 3rd. 6 days after that, St Johnstone visit Celtic Park for the final match before the split. We'll then face Rangers at Hampden, probably on the 17th of April, as I say. Then we're booked in for the first 2 rounds of the split in the following 2 weekends, with a very high chance that one of those matches will be against Rangers. The last 2 times that the title race has been so neck and neck going into the split, back in 2009 and 2011, the SPFL has put the final derby of the season in one of the first 2 weeks after the split, so match day 34 or match day 35. They will surely do the same thing here. They won't want it dragging on and the potential for either team, but especially us, to win the league, say at Celtic Park against them. They try and avoid that scenario if they can. So I think in theory, as I say, County on Saturday, 2-week break, then Rangers, St Johnstone, Rangers, someone away, and Rangers again. That's what my money is on if you were asking me. The split fixtures won't be out until after that St Johnstone game, as it's so tight between 4th and 9th in the league. I mean, look at that. So a mega April awaits for Celtic with 3 games against Rangers in the month. In fact, make that 4, because yesterday Celtic announced that Celtic Park will be open on Tuesday, April the 12th, as the B team take on their Rangers counterparts in the Lowland League. As you'll no doubt know, Celtic usually play their B team matches at the Pennycar Stadium in Airdrie. So this is a big step with the North Stand open, including, may I add, the standing section for this match, with tickets priced at £10 for adults and a £5 for concessions. This could be a pretty tasty evening if the ticket sales are good and the Celtic fans are up for it under the lights. I think we're going to be there. Well, certainly I'm going to be there. So you should probably come along too. And see the stars of the future. The likes of Bosun Lual, Toby Oluwayemi and Johnny Kenny could all be in action that night, but it doesn't seem like Ben Doak will be featuring for the Celtic B team, or indeed any Celtic team going forward. The 16-year-old seems very likely to join the likes of Barry Hepburn and Liam Morrison in leaving Celtic for one of Europe's elite. Liverpool are, of course, the club that are said to be closing in on a deal to sign Ben Doak. That's according to The Athletic's Liverpool writer James Pearce, with Celtic set only to net a minor compensation fee. So not great. I'm always sad when a youngster leaves Celtic without making the full breakthrough in the first team. It always leaves a bit of a bitter taste in my mouth when Celtic have helped to nurture a player and help them through the youth ranks, and then they leave for virtually nothing. Having said that though, can't really say I've got too much, against Ben Doak wanting to move on and further his career. Liverpool are a club that could conceivably give him an opportunity at first team level in a cup game next season. That's what Jurgen Klopp does in the domestic cup competitions, and we've seen how the likes of Harvey Elliott and Curtis Jones have come through for them in the last couple of years. So opportunities for Ben Doak there. As far as Celtic are concerned, it's just a bit of a difficult situation, and I don't really know what more Ange could have done. I mean, this is a guy who had only just turned 16 when we gave him his first team debut against Dundee United. He then came on against Rangers a few days later as well. A 16-year-old. I mean, when do you ever really hear Celtic playing 16-year-olds anytime, never minding crucial league fixtures in a crucial season? Ange was asked about Doak last night. He told BBC Sports Sound, "I've said all along, my role in this is to look after the footballers who want to be here. The footballers that don't want to be here, there's another avenue for them." So we wish Ben Doak all the best, and we leave it there. Okay, international break. It's soon to be upon us, right after the game against Ross County this weekend. Steve Clarke today named his Scotland squad for their upcoming friendlies against Poland and the loser of the Austria-Wales playoff, which is a rather strange setup. 2 Celtic players have been called up, Greg Taylor and Callum McGregor. However, there are no places for Anthony Ralston, James Forrest, or indeed David Turnbull. No real surprise with regards to the latter two there, but it seems very strange to me that Anthony Ralston hasn't made the squad. Clarke instead went for Motherwell's Stephen O'Donnell, yes really, and Everton's Nathan Patterson, who hasn't even played a minute in the Premier League for them since signing. So a harsh one there for Anthony Ralston, but from a Celtic point of view, I'm also not too bothered. Matt O'Reilly has been called up for the Denmark under-21s for the first time. They're playing Belgium in a qualifier a fortnight today, so plenty of time for O'Reilly to get ready for Ibrox after that. In terms of the rest of the squad, we're just playing a bit of a waiting game at the moment to see what other players are called up. Australia and Japan both in action later this month, actually against each other. Thankfully this time Celtic won't actually be missing any players for any matches like in the end of January. The likes of Sweden, Israel, Greece as well could all call up Celtic players. So we're just playing a waiting game. Final bit of international news, and it concerns Karamoko Dembele and the Ivory Coast, the country of both his parents' birth. They want him to switch allegiance from England and play for the Ivory Coast. Now, Dembele is currently in the England youth ranks. He's also eligible to play for Scotland. He moved to Scotland when he was just 1 year old. But Ivory Coast boss Patrice Boumel, cracking name, wants Dembele in for the 2023 African Cup of Nations, which the Ivory Coast are hosting. They, by the way, are facing France and England later this month. So Dembele, possibly an outside chance of him being involved there. Seems a little bit of a jump given that he's not quite in the Celtic setup yet, but I guess this just shows the potential that Ivory Coast clearly feel he has. Just finally, and I approach this topic with a bit of trepidation because I did promise that I wouldn't speak about this for a good while, but we have had some more details, well basically all the details now, about the Sydney Super Cup. They were released in Australia overnight. We now know that Celtic will face Rangers at the 80,000 Accor Stadium in Sydney on November the 20th, which is the day before the World Cup starts. The stadium is well known to Ange. It's actually where he won the 2015 Asian Cup for Australia. The tournament is a 3-match series. It was launched last night or yesterday during the day in Australia, or maybe it was earlier today. I don't know. It was launched recently. And Scott McDonald, 67 Hail Hale's very own Scott McDonald, was involved in the launch. The tournament will open with the rather low-key match, Western Sydney Wanderers versus Rangers on Wednesday the 16th of November. The next day, Celtic will face Sydney FC at their new Sydney Football Stadium, very imaginative name, which is due to open in mid-2022. Then there will be a 3-day break before the tournament finishes with Celtic versus Rangers at the Accor Stadium. Not really sure how a tournament can function with some teams playing 2 matches and others playing just 1, but I guess it is more of an exhibition and a money-making exercise rather than a genuine competition. Although I suggest that the derby it will be pretty feisty, especially if Celtic and Rangers both beat the Aussie teams in their first matches. Something will be riding on it. Okay, that's pretty much us for today. That was a busy video today. Things are going to stay that way as we ramp up towards Saturday. Plenty more to come over the next few days, including Jackie McNamara. It would be really good if you could subscribe to the channel and help us to 27,000 subscribers as soon as possible. If you're new to 67 Hail Hail, let me just tell you a little bit about us. We are Celtic fans who post daily videos about the club we love. We have match reactions to every game, some of them even at the pub, some with pints, very rarely. Solo videos like this, interviews, Celtic legends Jackie McNamara and the aforementioned Scott McDonald, and much more. So please don't hesitate to click that sub button. Go on, do it right now. Have you done it? Right, okay, chat to you tomorrow.